Welcome back to the Milestone Moment, where we take top producing agents, ask them about their story and how they got to where they are today in real estate. And today we have Sandy Navidi.
Thanks for having me.
Tech Real Estate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So tell us, you've got quite a background. How did you end up in real estate? Or tell the viewers a little bit about that.
So before I was a realtor, I ran an exporting business that was in 4 states. I had 65 employees, about a dozen semi-trucks, multiple box trucks. And when COVID hit, all the exporting stopped. All the borders closed.
Just overnight.
Overnight, yep. And my
Wow.
one domestic buyer was down in El Paso, but his workforce would come across the border every day, so that shut down. So it's kind of your worst case scenario when you open a business. I started to fire sale all of my assets. I had to fire my employees.
You built it up to all this, and then all of a sudden just that different.
And so I needed to pivot. And I've always loved real estate, just casually. You know, I was a Zillow fan.
Sure.
And I thought, I'm gonna get my real estate license. And I found that even though my business didn't pertain to real estate at all, the skill sets that I had acquired,
people person, managing, logistics,
really transferred over easily. I mean, dealing with white collar, blue collar people, getting a website, graphic design, logo, all of that. That worked.
It's running a business,
Right. And in the process of going through COVID, we maxed out all of our business credit cards. We maxed out the line of credit on our personal residence. And you realize that you don't have enough money in your checking account to make payroll.
Right.
And so you get over your fear of picking up the phone and calling people really quickly.
Right.
So going to open houses and talking with people is like, this is easy. You know, I'm not desperate for, you know, to make a sale. Let's just talk about what your needs are. So I think I've been able to scale pretty quickly compared to others.
Oh my gosh, you've built an amazing business in a very short period of time. To be honest with you, I didn't realize it was only in COVID that you started. So that's
5 years. Yep.
Amazing.
5 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was out of the frying pan and into the fire, right? During COVID, like open houses were insane. And, you know, learning to write an offer in the era of COVID.
Virtual and like all the things,
all the things.
Like trying to connect with people over Zoom as opposed to, oh my gosh.
Right. And interest rates, of course, were super low. So there was so much competition.
Feeding frenzy and all that.
There were times when I would show up like half hour early for an open house and people would be lined up outside trying to get in to check out the house.
Try to get your name on the list kind of thing.
Almost. Totally. And, you know, the pressure for houses was intense.
Right.
But it was an interesting time to cut your teeth.
What a way to start.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And like you said, I think the way that you went from your own business and all the things and just dove right in, of course, again, that's just such an interesting.
And I think it's my personality too, that if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well.
Yeah.
And I've lived in the Valley for a really long decades.
Great contacts.
And great contacts, but also having a good reputation in the community and wanting to live up to that reputation now that I was engaging with the community professionally as well.
Do you think that obviously then, of course, knowing you, but knowing your business background and acumen gave them immediate trust with you? Was that something you noticed?
I think so. And also, I am a real estate investor and I have 24 doors in my portfolio now.
Got it.
And I did that long before I started real estate. So I was able to speak the language pretty quickly and I understood cap rates and loan to value and those kinds of things already.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive. And of course, immediately if somebody sat down with you and they could see your where you're coming from, that would be immediate validity for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, so we have a lot of people that watch this show that are newer agents. I guess you've been through the ringer. And by the way, crazy to know that just 4 or 5 years ago, you started this 5 years now. So almost, very relatively recent. What would you give advice to a newer agent, of course? And again, your history of real estate goes much longer than that, but any advice that you could pass on?
I think for me, I just reached out to everybody to get open houses so that I could meet people, meet buyers. And that's how I started with my first couple of clients, was with open houses. And I'm always trying to acquire knowledge. And I would say if someone comes at you with a question about a Group B water system and you don't know what that is, just tell them you'll get right back to them and then educate yourself.
Sure.
Because you learn something new on every transaction that you do. That's kind of the fun part is that it's never the same.
Oh, I got this
it's
figured
never,
out.
Yeah, it's never rinse and repeat
Right.
because every buyer or seller has their own unique needs. They need something not just from the real estate sale, but from me to get it to the closing table.
I'm sure they trust you wholeheartedly in that process. Now, midway through 2026 now, which is crazy to think about. Is there anything that you added this year or finished off last year within your business that you're kind of excited about? Any new things that you're kind of doing?
Yeah, I added a virtual assistant to help me behind the scenes. She's in the Philippines, and it's been great having her help with videos and social media posting stuff.
Being consistent with all those things, right?
Right. That's really, you don't realize how much time you're spending in Canva trying to just list it under contract, putting those together until you can just give that to somebody else and then get a text saying everything's been posted and it's on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all the places and it's done. And you're like, wow, I just got some space back in my life.
You have such a good presence out there. So now I know your secret sauce. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of secret sauce, is there anything that you think, obviously there's plenty of things I'm sure, but anything you put your finger on that really separates you from other agents out there? Like what's your secret sauce that you
I think I've got a pretty deep knowledge of the community, having lived here for so long, raised 3 kids here. We built houses, we flipped houses here. So I'm not just talking the talk, I've walked the walk.
Yeah.
And I really can talk. A lot of agents are afraid of vacant land. They feel like there's too much hair on it. But I feel like bring it on.
I've done that.
Yeah, I've got that.
I
can handle that.
Got it. So well-rounded and just obviously so much knowledge.
I just love it. I really do.
And they probably see that come through. That's huge as well.
Yeah, there's nothing like the feeling you get when you're with someone and they walk into the house and you can just tell from their body language that you just found them home.
That's so
cool. That's so cool. I kind of get goosebumps thinking about it because it's such a privilege to be a part of that. I mean, home is, that cheesy saying, like home is where it all happens, but that is true.
Right.
And to get to be a part of that is so cool. And when your clients will text you out of the blue and say, I just put some wallpaper up in the kitchen. What do you think? Okay. Yeah. And you love to get that. It makes you feel so, I don't know.
Because now you're like ingrained in their life. I mean, they see you that way and you always want to be looked at that way. That's amazing.
Right. It is. It's so great to develop those connections with your clients that at the end of the transaction, they don't feel like clients, they feel like friends.
Right. Yeah. And then you're going to see them at the grocery store anyway because you're in this community.
Because I'm in town. Right.
I love that. So the premise of this show is the milestone moment. It's the moment that it all kind of changed for you in real estate. And maybe you have more than one, but can you tell me about your milestone moments?
I feel like I have milestone moments almost every day.
Well, that's exciting too.
I think, if the big one was getting my real estate license, going back to school and getting,
I guess, or COVID changing the world.
Changed the world for me too.
Right.
But that starting something new and being successful is awesome. And I'll never forget the first client I got under contract. It felt so good, and I was like, I'm going to do this again and again and again. Right. And I mean, it's a business like any other, you have hard days, bad days, but for the most part, I feel like I'm blessed to be able to do what I do and where I do it.
Got it. Well, you've got such a great reputation in the community. We do a meetup here on Tuesdays that you're a huge part of, and we appreciate all the knowledge that you bring to those meetings. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of what you're excited about coming into the end of the year? Well, gosh, it's mid-year, but the rest of this year, anything that you're kind of excited or any advice you have for buyers or sellers, or what do you see happening out there?
Well, you're the mortgage expert, but it doesn't seem like anything is going to change with rates anytime soon that will be
meaningful
significant.
Potentially.
Right.
Like that. Yep.
So I would say to buyers not to be afraid to jump in, because you will be able to refinance down the road. For me personally, our mortgage rate is 2.75, and that is not a COVID rate. We got that probably 10 or 11 years ago when our broker called and said, I don't know why it's so low, but you need to lock today. Rates do this. And the equity you build in the house can start today. And if they're renting, especially, the interest rate on your rent is 100%, because your landlord's never given you $1 of that, right? Yeah. So for the buyers, I would say
find a way to get your foot in the door.
Get in the door.
I love that.
Get in the door, get started.
And by the way, we both see a lot of opportunity. I don't think I've seen this many listings in this area in I don't know how many years. So it's huge.
Right. There is a lot more inventory. Days on market are a little bit longer. I think since I've been an agent, this is probably the strongest buyer's market that we've been in. And seeing when we're writing contracts, you're having the ability to negotiate for terms or price that even 24 months ago would have been unthinkable. And we don't know how long this window is going to last.
I know. You never take anything for granted.
Right.
I love that.
Right.
You're such a big part of the community. Is there any charities or any events or anything that you do that you like to kind of focus on or talk about, either the holiday stuff or anything that you kind of are aligned with?
Yeah. I every year I sponsor for Reclaim, which is the nonprofit in downtown Snoqualmie that helps people experiencing homelessness. And they're just a real top to bottom nonprofit in addressing childcare, housing, clothing, resume prep, on all fronts to really get people moved to permanently to a different place in their life. And that's just a great local organization. They're doing really good work down there. Proud to be a part of that.
One. Okay, cool. Great to know. Well, Sandy, you've been a fantastic guest. Thank you for being on the Milestone Moment.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.